Hi, everyone. I am Dasanka, the Director of Partnerships at the Conversationalist, and we are so excited for our second list panel all about the environment, and we are so thrilled to honor all of our Gen Z honorees and our distinguished celebrity honoree tonight. If you don't know who we are the Conversationalist, the go-to destination for Gen Z, and we work to amplify young voices through our community in an app powered by our friends at Geneva, and we are on a mission to unify the world. So we hope that you will come into our community, and all you have to do is text UNIFY to 1-877-222-119 to join. So let's get right into it. I am so thrilled to honor our 2020-2021 Celebrity List honoree for the environment. You may know him as Des from Disney's Austin and Ally, but he is also an environmental activist who has done awesome work with Al Gore's Climate Reality Project and Bono's One campaign. As the co-founder of Green Schools campaign, he's bringing students together to help schools transition to using 100% clean, renewable energy. He has dedicated his platform to educating, empowering, and shattering echo chambers when it comes to our climate crisis, and continues to inspire and educate Gen Zers across the globe. I'm excited to introduce the one and the only Calum Worthy. Awesome.
Hello.
Hey, Calum. We are so honored to have you on our platform, and we are so inspired by everything that you do. So let's get into some awesome questions so our audience can learn more about you.
Fantastic. And thank you so much for this. I'm so grateful for this honor, and also for everything you do, the organization, the platform. You're helping make the world a better place.
Oh, that's so amazing. That means a lot coming from you, and we are so honored. So as a successful actor and environmental activist, you have been paving the way in using your platform for good. What initially got you involved in environmental activism, and what drove you to create the Green Schools campaign?
Well, I've been an activist since I was in high school. I learned that early on, using your voice can create real change. I was very blessed because I learned it through the education system. My teacher in 9th grade, Mark Neufeld, walked into class one day and said, we need to talk about something that's not in our curriculum currently, called climate change. And this is going to be the defining issue of your lifetime. And it was that moment that I immediately became an environmental activist. And in terms of using my platform, people say when you have a large following, or if you have any following, they call you an influencer. But the question is, what are you influencing? Are you influencing your bank account, or are you actually doing something with that to make a real difference? The truth is everyone has an influence on somebody in their life, especially if you're on social media. Whether you have 5 followers or 5 million followers, you have the ability to create real change. So you have the opportunity to, which means you have a responsibility to.
I love that. I think it's so amazing that a teacher inspired you to become an environmental activist, and it's so inspiring, especially for Gen Zers across the nation, to see you using your voice for good. And I know it's inspiring me personally to do that. So I love that.
Well, thank you very much. Well, and Gen Z inspires me.
Amazing. This past year has been extremely unexpected, to say the least, with the pandemic, among other social and political issues. And how has the current climate, no pun intended, impacted your work in environmental advocacy?
Well, I think that COVID-19 especially has revealed a lot of inequalities that we're facing in the world. They were always there, but because we're facing this global crisis, we're seeing them right in front of us. The other thing is the global health crisis, climate change, systemic racism. These big issues that we're facing right now, they're actually all connected, and it's important that we address them that way and we don't isolate them, because we have to work together to solve all of them together. And how it's affected my advocacy, it's actually been a huge pivot, but I think we found ways to find the positive angle in it. So many people are suffering, and it's been such a difficult year, but the one silver lining has been the ability to use Zoom. We started the Green Schools campaign this year, where it's a a campaign that I co-founded with Simon Aaron and this incredible team of young activists to help young people around the world, especially students, help transition their schools to 100% clean renewable energy. So we're able to work with students from all around the world. We're working with students in I think it's about 20 different countries at the moment, and we're constantly communicating with them through Zoom. And without this platform, we wouldn't have this. And that is something I'm very grateful for.
Wow, it is amazing to hear the ways that we've been able to connect through technology, and how the pandemic and everything that's gone on has actually brought people together and brought us closer together in a way and unified us, which is, part of our mission at Conversationalist. So I love that.
Exactly. I mean, we live in this global community, and now we can actually realize that.
Yeah, it's amazing. Amazing. And, going off of that, our mission at the Conversationalist is to empower young people everywhere to have conversations that matter. And it's been awesome to see how you have taken initiative in starting conversations about the environment and educating people on what they can do to help. How do you think we can bring people together to collectively take action to better our environment?
We live in this, we live in a global community, and the globalization of media and technology has really allowed young people to utilize this global community, and they've grown up in it. I think it helps to personalize these issues. Social media means that we no longer have to just read about these global threats. We can actually interact with other young people who are experiencing these issues firsthand. And this has the potential to create an incredibly compassionate generation. So I think it's important to share your story, share what you're passionate about, and find others through social media that you can work with.
Incredible. And another reason why we wanted to honor you this year is because of your ability to inspire the next generation. Do you have any advice for our Gen Z community members on how they can find their voices and take action on issues that matter most to them?
Yes, I'm very optimistic about the future because of Gen Z. They're informed, and they have the courage to speak truth to power. The greatest challenges that we're experiencing require a global, united response, and everyone must fight to make this a safe global community. And allies are very important in enacting change. You can be a vocal advocate even if you're not an expert in that field. You can be an environmentalist even if you're not a climate scientist. You can be an advocate for global health even if you're not a healthcare professional. You can fight for justice and racial equality even if you're not a part of a marginalized group. I can't pretend to know what it's like to walk in your shoes or anyone else's shoes, but I can walk with you. And I can support you, and I can help amplify your message. And we all have a role to play, and therefore we have a responsibility to play it.
I love that. That was so well put. Incredible to hear from you. And thank you for being with us today. And I just wanted to wrap up with one last question.
Yeah.
What are your long-term goals with your environmental advocacy, and what do you hope your legacy will ultimately be?
Well, that's very kind of you to even ask the question that way. I think for me, my goal has always been to use this platform to let others speak for themselves. So with the Green Schools campaign, I wanted to create a space for the next generation to address this issue and to give them the platform and hand the microphone to them. So I think that if I were to look at some kind of legacy, it would actually be in the lives of others. If other people were able to make change, then that I've worked with, then I feel like I'll have made a difference. And my long-term goal is just to keep fighting. These things are they can't be solved overnight. Whether it's systemic racism, climate change, gender equality, these are lifelong commitments. So I don't really know what the future is going to bring, because I think I'll be fighting for this for the rest of my life.
That's amazing. That was an awesome answer. We are just, again, so honored to have you on our platform, and you've inspired me. I know you've inspired everyone backstage and all of our Gen Z community members and beyond. So thank you again for hopping on with us, and we are so honored to honor you today.
Well, again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for this honor. It really means a lot, and keep up the work you're doing. I'm so inspired by it.
Awesome, and we're so excited to continue following your amazing work.
Well, thank you very much, and let's keep working together.
Yes, definitely. We will chat soon.
Let's do it.
Awesome. Bye.
All right, see you.
Wow, that was incredible. It is so amazing speaking to Calum. I'm just absolutely speechless, and I'm so excited to learn from all of our Gen Z honorees. So let's get into it. Awesome. So first up, I would like to introduce our first honoree for the environment, Devishi Jha. Our first honoree is an entrepreneur, activist, and speaker from India. She is the co-founder of Voyagers, an organization that works to encourage sustainability in business. She also serves as the director of partnerships at 0 Hour, an international youth-led climate organization. She believes that time is running out to solve the world's most pressing global challenges. And she thinks of her family in rural India and the hazardous monsoons that ravage the country with greater intensity and frequency every year. The challenge of sustainable development propels her to innovate, create, and fight for a better planet. We are cheering her on and so excited to keep watching Devishi Jha and all she does for our world. So let us welcome Devishi. Hi, Devishi.
Hello, how are you?
We are so honored to have you on our platform to highlight all of the amazing things that you are doing. And so I'd love to jump in. Yeah, of course. I'd love to jump in and ask you a question to learn a bit more. So you are truly helping to pave the way for this new wave of businesses operating sustainably. Who or what inspired you to get involved with this kind of environmental activism? And how do you hope your work with 0 Hour impacts the environment?
Yeah, so great question. The first memory I have of kind of being involved in climate activism was I go to, a public high school in Indiana, and I noticed that there wasn't a lot of education being done on climate change. So that was something huge that I wanted to change. And I reached out to 0 Hour because at the time, 0 Hour had an education campaign going on climate. So after sending an email, I soon got involved with them and then became director of partnerships, got to manage 200 plus partnerships across the world, which is so exciting. And then that eventually got me to working in, corporate social responsibility with Voyagers, working with businesses and in that space to talk about sustainability as well as in governments and all different areas, which that's something that I definitely am looking forward to in 2021 and beyond. It's that intersection of talking about sustainability, not just within Gen Z, but also taking Gen Z's voices into the business world, taking it to governments and connecting everything together, because that's truly the fastest way and most efficient way to create that change that we need. So that's definitely what propels me to keep on going.
Amazing. I mean, Gen Z is the future, right? That's why we're here today. I love it. You're amazing. And we will see you in a little bit.
Amazing. Bye. Thank you.
Awesome. So our next honoree is a spokesperson at republicn.org. His role model is Kobe Bryant and is inspired by Kobe's Mamba mentality and overall work ethic, which has inspired him to work as hard as he can on anything that he does. We have definitely seen this in his advocacy that revolves around fiscally responsible and conservative solutions to climate change. He uses his voice through media appearances, writing op-eds, and meeting with congressional offices, and views climate change as a problem to take the lead on because he could offer realistic and productive solutions from his conservative perspective. I am so honored to introduce Jacob Abel. Hi, Jacob.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Great, thank you for having me.
Awesome. We are so honored to have you and amplify your incredible work. And I'm very excited to hear your perspective on climate change and am so impressed with how you are taking action to help the environment in ways that you feel are most effective. With all of your work in advocacy revolving around conservative solutions to fight climate change, what environmental efforts do you believe need to be prioritized?
Absolutely, thank you for the question. So I think there's really two parts to this. One is really the free market and private business. They're really taking the lead on developing the technologies that we need to address climate change or get plastics out of our oceans or move away from plastics. That's important. It's also going to create jobs for people, which is always good. The other is government. So that's kind of where my bread and butter is, meeting congressional offices, pushing for some government action, because every 2 to 4 years, we're seeing with an election, we're seeing radically different approaches to solving climate change. It's really hard to have a global response, first of all, and for business to kind of navigate that environment. So one of the things I advocate for is carbon pricing, which is more of a level playing field, puts a per metric ton price on carbon. So it's really those two things, getting private business to innovate and having government having a comprehensive response.
Amazing. I'm learning so much from you, and I know everyone in the comments and everyone viewing right now is too. So thank you so much for that. It's awesome to hear your perspective, and we will see you a little later. Awesome. Cool. This is so much fun. I'm having so much fun. Awesome. I'm so excited to welcome our next guest. She is the founder and director of Project Pusaka. She is a recognized climate reality leader who was trained by former VP Al Gore. As a passionate advocate for climate change in indigenous groups, she founded Project Pusaka to empower vulnerable communities in the Philippines affected by climate change. She also loves conversation as much as we do. Conversations that mentally stimulate or challenge her drive her passion for learning. We are honored to welcome a girl who has already made such an impact on the world. She is Keziah Therese Grossano. Hi, Keziah.
Hi, Desanka. Thank you so much for having me here. It's such a great honor.
Thank you so much for being here. You're so amazing. Awesome. So it is definitely safe to say that you are changing the world. What are some of your proudest moments working in your organization, Project Pusaka, and what inspired you to help Filipino communities?
Thank you so much for those kind words. And actually, that's a great question. Some of the proudest moments we currently have right now with Project Pusaka is restoring the lost hope for a better future and starting a literacy program to revive the indigenous cultures currently endangered language. And also a couple of weeks ago, in the beginning of this year, they started designing their own permaculture garden, which not only aims to empower themselves through food security, but also improve the local ecosystem and bring back the once lost biodiversity.
Amazing. I just said this, but I'm learning so much, and you all are so inspiring, and what you're doing is just incredible. Like I said, you're changing the world, and it's an honor to be in your presence right now. So thank you so much, and we'll see you in a sec. Our next honoree unfortunately couldn't be with us today, but we still wanted to share about his work and amplify his voice. Joe Hobbs is a 17-year-old environmental activist who works for Fridays for Future and is also the co-founder of Climate Cardinals. He is on a mission to educate others on climate change and works to support the health of our planet, and we are so glad to honor him and his amazing work. Great. Up next, we have an amazing honoree, and she describes Gen Z as powerful, and that is just what she is. She is the founder of the Urban Garden Initiative, an organization with the mission to inspire and empower youth to achieve urban sustainability through a gardening-based educational program. In order to achieve these goals, she has designed a year-long program that engages youth in environmental education as well as urban gardening. She focuses her work on inspiring and empowering youth to achieve urban sustainability. We are so proud of the work Megan Chen has done at just 17 years old. So let's welcome Megan Chen. Hi.
Hi, nice to meet you. Super excited.
Nice to meet you. We are so excited to have you and amplify all of your amazing work. It is amazing how you have used gardening as a tool to lead young people down a sustainable path. What inspired you to create the Urban Garden Initiative, and what do you hope to achieve within your organization?
Totally. Thank you for that question to begin with. So I think TD in and of itself started kind of by creating a small change on a really large issue. So I've grown up in Wilmington, Delaware, which is really known to be a really major food desert. So it's really hard for a lot of people to access healthy food and for a variety of different reasons. So the summer, I think, of my sophomore year of high school, I started working at an urban garden located right in the center of the city. I really got the opportunity to talk to a lot of people within the city, learn about the issue directly from people and students. And then that in and of itself just started by me creating this program, teaching some young people, and now it's this kind of global network that we've been able to become. And in terms of future goals, I really just want to create a world where youth, especially Gen Z and in the future, feel positive about the future of our planet and don't think of this negative place when they think of the problem of climate change. And I want them to feel confident about kind of what they can do about it and how they can implement change and really create communities that are tied into sustainable agriculture and bringing kind of green solutions into cities.
Wow. You are so amazing and so inspiring.
Thank you.
I'm so excited to chat with you more a little later to learn a little bit more.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, see you soon. Amazing. This honoree is the CEO of Rusi, CMO of Hydrope, and an entrepreneur. She's an environmentalist and advocate for sustainable practices. She aims to implement these through business and entrepreneurship. While she believes that the influence of small things is underestimated, but in reality, they make the biggest impact. She is truly doing big things. Her businesses intend to make sustainability more affordable and accessible for everyone while supporting other organizations that help the environment. Join me in bringing Rishika Vinakota to the stage. Hi, Rishika.
Hi, it's so nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you for being here. We are so thrilled to honor you.
Awesome.
You know, the excuse for a lot of people for not living sustainably comes down to the price tag. You are working to find solutions so that sustainability can be a seamless switch for anyone. Because you work to make sustainable products more affordable and accessible, how can the everyday person help to support these efforts?
That is a great question. When I first started, brainstorming ideas and working with other teens in my community about business plans, one thing we really noticed was environmental classism is very present. I mean, the concerns of affordability are often outweighing the concerns of sustainability. And a lot of companies hike up their prices just because it seems as if sustainability belongs to someone who's perfect and who has a lot of, disposable income. But that really isn't the case. So the way we can really do to fight this stereotype and to fight this notion is to start talking, having those conversations about, being more sustainable, being more conservative about our spending and our consciousness. That's the best way to really get, change to happen, because as more people start to spend money on more products that are sustainable and more conscious of the environment, we not only from a business perspective, we're going to see more people being able to spend money on the products that count, but also from a manufacturing perspective, we're able to buy larger amounts of products and actually lower our price per unit, which allows an individual to lower the prices for a product. And, the best way to start with this is buying less and buying consciously. Spend your money on products and items that you believe are actually going to help the planet and brands that are actually trying to make a difference, like Reusi and Hydrope were. And as a result, we're able to spend more money to provide services and products that are actually going to help clean up the environment. It's a huge cycle and it's a very complicated process on paper, but when you start talking about it, it's so much more accessible and understandable, and it makes us question why are we not doing it already?
Yes, I completely agree. We need to normalize this conversation so it's easy for people and it's a seamless switch, and you are really changing the game, and I'm so excited to continue following your journey and learn more about you in a little bit.
Of course.
Awesome. Our next honoree is a climate activist from the Bay Area who has been recognized by publications such as Teen Vogue, NBC Nightly News, PBS, and Forbes. She's the founder of Climate Now and Broadway Speaks Up. Climate Now is a youth-led group dedicated to bringing awareness to the climate movement and empowering our youth to take action for their future, and Broadway Speaks Up is a platform inspiring Broadway performers to speak up for climate action. We are so excited to recognize Sarah Goody. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Kasanka. How are you doing?
Great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so excited to be here.
We are so thrilled to have you. And let's just acknowledge for a second that you're 16 years old and have already founded 2 organizations. That's insane. It's really unbelievable. And what sparked your passion for the environment, and what inspired you to merge climate change and Broadway to inspire action and tangible change?
Well, similar to how Calum was talking, I first learned about climate change when I was in school. I was in 6th grade when my science teacher decided to do a unit on climate change and what that meant for me, for my community, and for my generation. And in that moment, I realized that I couldn't just stand back and literally watch our planet burn, that I had to do something. I had to use my voice to ignite change and to help the planet. So that was the initial moment that I realized I had to be an environmental advocate. And then as far as Broadway Speaks Up goes, when Broadway went dark due to COVID-19, I mean, I've always been a huge theater fan. So I knew that I had to find a way to bridge the gap between the Broadway community and the climate movement. So I started Broadway Speaks Up initially as an Instagram account just to start getting different Broadway performers' voices out there about climate change, what it meant to them, what actions they were taking, and how young people could get involved in the climate movement. And since then, we've had performers from over 50 plus Broadway shows like Lion King, Wicked, Jagged Little Pill. It's been so much fun, and I'm excited to see where it goes in the future.
That's unbelievable. I have a friend who's on Broadway who's affected by Broadway Goes Dark, so I'll have to connect you guys afterwards.
Yeah,
yeah, so I love that. That's amazing, and I'll see you in a little bit.
All right, see you then.
Awesome. We have one more. So crazy. It's sad. It's already almost over. Our next honoree is the co-founder of the Green Consumer Project at only 16 years old. The GCP works to streamline consumer access to environmentally friendly personal goods. His dream is for the voices of activists like him to spark a movement to inspire corporations that abuse their power to change and incorporate regenerative practices. Our last environment nominee is Shiv Gowell.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to have you on the Conversationalist. And a lot of people don't know what's in their products, let alone if they're even sustainable, right? So your organization is a great resource, making it really easy to support the right companies and to make changes to do our part to help the environment. Why is it important to shop sustainably, and how has your organization, the Green Consumer Project, helped to streamline that process?
That is a fantastic question, one that really isn't asked enough. So the brands that make the majority of the clothes worn by people actually abuse their workers, pay them wages below living costs, use toxic chemicals, produce insane levels of carbon. You can go on and on about the unethical practices that they ensure. And by purchasing from these brands, we're actually complicit in the abuse of these regions. But thankfully, the power of the consumer is actually one of the best tools that we have in the battle against fast fashion. If we take our patronage to conscious brands or even pre-owned retailers like Depop, companies that use unethical production will be forced to make the effort to use sustainable practices if they want to keep their pockets deep. So luckily, as environmentally friendly brands see more customers and earn more profits, they'll be able to lower their prices until ethical manufacturing is the norm and accessible to people from all different backgrounds. The Green Consumer Project just happens to be the easiest way to do that. Unfortunately, our website is down for maintenance, but once it's back up, by going to greenconsumerproject.org, you'll be able to find brands that sell all different kinds of products on our website. The GCP works to make conscious consumerism as simple as possible using our advanced algorithm developed by our amazing web development team that allows customers to sort brands by price point and more.
Wow. I'm definitely going to be engaging on your platform, and that's going to be my new holy grail. So I'm very excited for that. And now I'm going to bring everyone back on screen for a couple questions for everybody. So let's do it. Awesome. Awesome. I think that is everyone. Perfect. So I'm just going to ask a couple questions, and feel free to hop in the private chat if you want to speak, or just go for it, whatever works. So I'm going to kick it off with the first one. Gen Z is at the forefront of change and at times have even been coined as the activist generation. I'd love to open this up to the floor, and again, anyone can chime in. How can we all come together as a generation to take environmental action? Feel free, anyone, to jump in.
Okay, I'll go ahead and start. That was such a great question. I think that, yes, our generation has done incredible things. And I think that's because we are so aware of our current, not only political climate, but the social justice issues that are affecting young people today. And when it comes to unifying our generation over environmentalism and climate action, I think the best way to do so is for everyone to bring their own unique self and their own unique traits to this movement. Like I mentioned earlier, I was so passionate about musical theater and about Broadway, so I was able to go bring that into the climate movement. And whether you're passionate about Broadway or dance or soccer or, I don't know, synchronized swimming, you can bring that into this movement somehow. And by expressing your own self, we can all come together, learn more about our generation, learn more about others, and really come together to fight for our planet.
Awesome. I'm going to toss the mic to Jacob now.
Thank you. That's a great question. There's a few things, actually. I've seen meeting with congressional offices and things of that sort. It's usually, these meetings are usually driven by young people our age, because we're all very passionate about this subject. And we even saw it in the recent presidential debate. I mean, climate change was a big topic of discussion in these debates. It's becoming a bigger and bigger issue in Congress, even if you're not necessarily seeing it. So I think it's definitely getting out there and vote, make this an issue, be vocal about it. Petitions, writing to your Congress people, meeting with your Congress people, all this stuff makes an impact and moves the needle forward.
Amazing. I'm going to pass the mic to Megan now.
Thank you. So I think another thing I just want to add in is this idea of starting small, because I think for so many of us, we're constantly hearing all these huge issues, and we're young people. There's nothing I can do about it. I know growing up kind of where I was, there was not a lot of opportunities for me to really share my voice. So I think a lot of it had to be kind of paved on your own. So just even creating really simple change within your everyday lifestyle, starting to think about how you can kind of change some of your daily actions to make them a little bit more green is really just one step that you can take. And those actions kind of build on top of each other one after another. And that can create over time super amazing change. And if all of us, millions of us are all doing that, that ultimately creates really big impact. So don't feel like you have to start a nonprofit and you have to start a business and do all these things to implement change. You in and of itself, the things you're doing every day can create really amazing impact.
I love that. Some people think that they need to go to the top and start an organization, but really starting small and starting in your own community will make such a big difference, more than you'll ever know. So I love that you brought that advice to the table. And let's hear from Keziah.
Going off of what Megan said, fighting this whole climate justice movement doesn't have, you don't need to start an organization. It can be as small as starting the conversation with your family, stimulating those conversations in your group of friends, because it goes a long way. And also, using our social media accounts to, whether it is share a post, validate something, because of course there's a lot of fake information going around. And lastly, I would say is taking up space, especially in the international platform and the decision-making process, like what Jacob is doing. And it's very amazing on how us youth use our voices to amplify the voices of others and inspire others as well.
Amazing. I'm going to hop into our second question. So as we've seen today, of course, you are all doing such incredible work, and you're a remarkable representation of Gen Z. And for those out there who may not know how to get started or may not have even discovered their voices yet, what advice would you have for them? How can others find their voices to do good in the world? Devishi, do you want to go ahead and start?
Sure thing. Yeah, one thing I would definitely say is that if you are in an area that doesn't necessarily do a lot with environmental activism yet, you can definitely take advantage of how remote our world is and how digitalized everything is now. And feel free to send that email or text or call to an organization that has values similar to yours or something that you want to be a part of. I know I personally joined Zero Hour by sending an email. So don't hesitate to do that. And I can tell you that from my end and from our end, we're definitely looking for just young people that have the motivation and passion on environmental activism and want to get involved. So don't hesitate to send that text and get involved in any way you can, regardless of where you are.
I love that. I live by cold emails and following up. So now's the time to do it, especially since we're living in a pandemic and a lot of us still have stay-at-home orders. So this is the perfect time to start getting involved. Rashika, do you want to go next?
Yeah, of course. So Deveshi brings up a really amazing point. The fact that our world is so remote now lends itself to so many opportunities. And just moving forward from what we've experienced this last year, we are now more available and more accessible to communicate with people online. I mean, the Conversationalist is such a great example. We have a platform with thousands of kids and teens on there, Gen Z, who actually want to make a difference. And just starting that conversation by saying, hey, is there anyone nearby blank who wants to start this initiative or who wants to do a donation drive with me, someone who wants to organize an event. And I mean, that can really create a ripple effect considering today's scope of social media. I mean, we've seen it happen these last few months regarding other issues and other protests. It can always happen for any topic. So starting that conversation and being willing to continue that conversation onwards while being respectful and being considerate to all individuals' opinions is a really great way to get out there. And throughout that whole process, you'll be able to learn from other people, get new perspectives and included. And that's when we really start making a change because we consider everyone's perspectives and we're able to compromise and come to a really good solution together.
I love that. And that's really what the Conversationalist community is all about. It has been so incredible to see the friendships and the organizations that have emerged from the Conversationalist and from the connection within our community. It's been so powerful. So I love that. Shiv, I'm going to pass it to you.
Yeah, for sure. This is such an amazing question in that we all start somewhere. As we've been talking about a lot, some of us started with our 6th grade science teachers. Some of us started completely by accident surfing the internet, And for getting your own voice heard in terms of environmental activism or social justice in general, the best place to start is inevitably education and educating yourself about the issues you want to get involved in. If we're talking about the environment specifically, there's so many aspects to it, like overfishing, global warming, very specifically, stable fashion, my one true passion. That rhymed. But, at the end of the day, learning about the different issues that you can get involved in and understanding, like Sarah said earlier, what really strikes with you and what finds your passions most is the best place to start. And then looking at organizations you can start or what initiatives already exist and where, there's a need for certain things. And that's where it is for a lot of our own organizations or our own initiatives or activism came from.
That is some amazing advice. So I'm going to pose a final question to you all. As you all know, our mission at the Conversationalist is to unify the world. This means using our voices and having conversations that matter, no matter how hard they might be. What advice do you have for anyone out there listening on how we can navigate difficult conversations, find common ground, and work to unify the world?
I guess I'll start. I think it's a really great question, especially considering our current political climate. Nowadays, it seems as if everything is a political issue, and the same goes for the environment. And we've gotten so polarized and negative to the point where we're constantly just arguing with each other and forgetting what's truly at stake here. It's our futures, it's our climate, it's the future of the world and the generations. And I think starting those conversations means you yourself are allowing yourself to be vulnerable and wanting to listen to other people's perspectives. Conversation isn't one-sided. It's a two-way street. You need to make sure your mind is open and you want to consider other people's perspectives, but you also want to work together with all individuals, regardless of their background or their opinions, to actually make a change. Because on issues like this, everyone's a stakeholder. It's not one person's problem, it's all of our problems. And getting that conversation started started, and making sure you yourself are being mindful of what is being said and being open to what can be said is a really good starting point. And I think having that mindset and that, I guess, that those patterns consistent throughout the conversation really allows you to be productive and actually have something efficient come out of it.
Awesome. Devishi, love to hear from you.
Yeah, I just wanted to really just add on to Rushika and say that while having conversation can sound daunting at first, I know when I was first getting involved, I was like, should I talk to you about this? I don't know what to say. But starting small and just starting with, hey, talking to your parents about an issue that matters to you is a great way to start. And it definitely makes a difference. So while you might not be ready yet to post on social media or, talk to a bunch of people, talk to your school, start small, and that's totally okay, and that's totally the best way to start as well, because you can definitely try out what you want to say and come out with better ways and strategies to move forward. So starting small is definitely okay, and that's something that I would encourage if you're looking to start having those conversations.
It's amazing advice. Sarah, gonna pass the mic to you.
I just want to, all of these panelists and all of these honorees have been so inspirational, but on this topic, I think don't be afraid to start a conversation. You don't have to be an expert. You don't have to be a climate science to say something important and for your voice to matter. So just start the conversation now. And when doing so, make sure to start addressing the commonalities, what you share with other people, because finding a common ground will help you then afterwards tackle those differences that you have. So again, go after that. Don't be afraid to speak up. Your voice does matter, and I'm so excited to hear it.
Sarah just encapsulated our mission perfectly, so I couldn't have said it better myself. Shiv?
I'll be honest, sometimes I can be a stubborn person. But having conversation, one of the most important things is to keep an open mind. That's definitely something that I'm trying to improve on. I think it's something that we can all do a lot better. Having conversation, especially one that's engaging and that involves social discourse, can be difficult, as a lot of the other previous speakers have mentioned. But at the end of the day, trying to understand where other people are coming from and really taking the time to learn the points of view that the other people in discussions are taking up, and understanding why they're having those points and where those are coming from. That really is the key to having conversation, an open conversation that can benefit all parties involved.
100%. Understanding where people are coming from and having respectful conversation. It's, how you break open your echo chamber, and that's how we work towards actionable change. So I love that. Keziah, let's hear from you.
So a lot of my fellow honorees here did talk about very important points like finding common ground, listening, most especially empathetic listening, because nowadays miscommunication can easily happen, most especially in a world where communication is taken for granted. And, it's easier to send a text than to say hi in person, or go straight up to someone and start a conversation. It's easy to send them a message or just ghost them. And that's a very, very big loophole there. And in regards to finding common ground, for me in general, when it comes to having hard conversations with someone about climate change, one of the common grounds that I talk about is how does climate change affect humanity? Most especially the vulnerable communities, because when we talk about climate change, there are different things that we can talk about, whether we should go vegan, and a lot of things that people debate about. But for me, what definitely helps is facilitating the conversation of humanity. How is the climate crisis affecting us, the vulnerable communities, people of color, the LGBTQ plus community, indigenous groups? So yeah, that's what I had to say.
Amazing. Jacob, would love to hear.
I'd like to echo everything everyone just said, but one of my favorite examples that I've ever heard of having a tough conversation is the founder of Republican.org, the organization I work for, is Bob Inglis. He's a former congressman. He was actually a climate denier until his son actually sat him down and said, "Dad, if you don't clean up your act on climate, I'm not voting for you in the next election." So it's definitely a good example of something that you can do. I mean, even, again, if it's talking to your parents or anything like that, but also something I've found in my work is you having the bravery to speak up about this issue, you never know who you're going to inspire next. Someone could be listening that they're scared to talk about it, but because you stand up and are vocal about it, they're going to move on and try and tackle this issue in whatever field they're doing, whether it's engineering, philosophy, anything else. So it's important to speak up because you don't know who else is listening.
Incredible. That was a great story too. And let's wrap it up with Megan.
Yeah, I mean, like everyone else said, I really agree with everything that everyone said. And I think the one thing I can add is just really the importance of educating yourself as well. I think in our current day and age, it's so easy to kind of get your news and hear everything that on all of these issues from like one source and from one perspective, but really broadening yourself into a variety of perspectives, really understanding and listening to how other people have created the judgments that they have created and kind of what perspective they're coming from, and really learning about that truly on your own first before even starting to have those conversations with other people. That has been really amazing for me. And I think I don't quite remember if Davishi or Rashika that said this, but having those conversations first and kind of your close network with your friends, with your family, and having those hard conversations is really important. But then maybe going on social media or having a larger platform and speaking out about certain issues, but really use the voice that you truly have.
Wow. I've said this so many times tonight. I'm so inspired by each and every one of you. And I am so excited to watch you all change the world because you're already doing it. So I'm so excited to follow all of your journeys. And if I'm feeling this inspired, I can't imagine how everyone else is feeling. So thank you so much for being here tonight. We are so honored to honor all of you. And we are so excited to see all of you in our community. If you haven't joined our community, join it right here, right now by just texting Unify to 1-877-222-1119. Talk to all of our panelists tonight and get the conversation started. We are so excited. And do not forget to tune in to our next panel tomorrow. We will be honoring all of the list honorees for mental health. So thank you so much for being here tonight.